Alrighty. Oh, this is the wrong screen. Let's see. Can you guys see me now? Yeah. What's Gucci, guys? Let me know if you can hear me. Let me know if everything sounds alright. If anything's too high, if anything's too low. Appreciate you guys coming to hang out here as we are how many days away from Thanksgiving now? I mean, it'll be Thanksgiving tomorrow for all of you guys. So happy Thanksgiving. Hopefully you get to spend some time with your family, relax a little bit, and watch a lot of football. We have 6 teams playing, 3 matchups. So obviously, don't forget to set your lineups. That would be the worst case scenario if you just forgot to set your lineups. But yeah, let me know if everything sounds good, if it looks okay, if the feed looks good, and we will get started here. I'm going to be answering all of your questions. Please keep in mind that super chats will be answered first, and then I will answer the rest of the questions in order. But lots of injured players that we still need to keep our thumb on throughout the week. So anyway, what's up, Abraham? Welcome in. Says, I got offered Waddle for Najee and Monty. My other running backs are Jacobs and Sanders. Should I get Waddle and flip him for ETN? Then I would have Jacobs, ETN, JJ, Terry, Pittman. Yeah, so I had to look at this one. I think what we need to remember about Montgomery is that he is going to get a full workload most likely for the rest of the season. And his schedule upcoming is actually quite good. I would not be surprised if Montgomery has another one of those years where he's a little bit average to start the year and then he absolutely dominates. That feels like very much on the cards for me. So I personally am not willing to make that trade. I don't think it's a bad move necessarily. So go with your heart on it. Go with your gut on it. But Montgomery last week had 21 touches He had 21 points as well, played 80% of the snaps. And then in the playoffs, it's a pretty rough schedule between Philly, Buffalo, and Detroit. But this is a running back who's going to get 15 to 20 touches every single game. He's no longer in this timeshare with Khalil Herbert, who's on IR. So I think I'm willing to do this deal, but I think you need to get more in return. I think you need to get potentially another running back in return if you're going to do that deal. I personally wouldn't do that deal just straight up. I think you need to get a running back in return there. Christian says, hey, I got offered CD, Elliott, and Higbee. CD, Elliott, and Higbee for Travis Kelce. Yes, in an 8-man, it doesn't matter. To be honest, like in an 8-man, it doesn't matter what it costs. Travis Kelce is going to give you the biggest advantage over every single one of your teammates. In an 8-man league, you're going to have superstars on your bench. So 100%, I will take the Travis Kelce side of that deal. It's not even a question mark for me. Bubby says, half-point PPR Superflex, who do I start? Jeff Wilson, Mac Jones, or Cordero Patterson? Ooh, what a question, man. That's tough. I mean, let me remind myself who Mac Jones plays. Who's he playing? He's playing Minnesota. He's been well below average this year as far as fantasy goes. Currently the quarterback 31. We don't have a single game over 20 points for Mac Jones. And since week 4, he has won, like his best performance since week 4 is 13 points. So I think I'm actually going to go Jeff Wilson here. He's clearly taken over the Miami backfield. Last week, he had 22 touches, had 22 fantasy points as well, played 61% of the snaps. He is the guy. He's been the guy ever since he's gotten there for the Miami Dolphins. And the Dolphins play the Houston Texans, who, if I'm not mistaken, currently give up the most points to fantasy running backs. Let me double check on that for you. But yes, they do. They give up the most points to fantasy running backs. So yeah, my answer there is going to definitely be Jeff Wilson, even though I do like Cordero Patterson. What's up, CB? Says, hey guys, need 2 wide receiver and 1 flex PPR. Waddle, Gabe Davis, Amon-Ra, Olave. Ooh, all these people should be started. Okay, 2 wide receivers and a flex. You're definitely starting Waddle. You're definitely starting Amon-Ra. And then this is tough between Olave and Monty, but let me double check their matchups here. Who is Olave playing? He plays San Francisco. That's a pretty tough matchup, but he's going to get so many targets. And then the other option was Montgomery. Monty plays the Jets, which they've actually been pretty decent. I'm going to go the 3 wide receivers there. Waddle, Amon-Ra, and Olave would be my answer, especially if it's a PPR format, which you said it was. Hey, guys, expectations for Garrett Wilson. You know, I'm even excited for Elijah Moore. I don't know about you guys, but you remember the last year when Elijah Moore had a couple breakout games? One was on Thursday Night Football against the Colts. If you guys remember back in 2021. Let me find it. Back in 2021, Week 9 versus the Colts, he had 8 targets, caught 7 of them for 84 yards and 2 touchdowns. And in that little string of games where it was Mike White, he was really efficient, like top 12 wide receiver efficient. So both Garrett Wilson and Elijah Moore really excite me with Mike White. Is Mike White a better prospect than Zach Wilson? No, but is he someone who's fully willing to sling the ball all over the field? Yes. And that really excites me for this wide receiver core. Who do they play this week? Jets play the Bears, so that's a pretty good matchup. I mean, Garrett Wilson, you know, in like a 12-man league, Garrett Wilson should be started, I think, unless you have clear better options. All right, guys, you know the deal. I'm going to answer all these questions in order. Super chats get answered straight away. Do me a favor, drop a like. Just me today holding the stream down, but that would mean a lot if you could drop a like for your boy. High Upside Low Risk says, what's up, bro? He says, Fantasy Land Football. Got a defensive question. Okay. A hobbled Dallas D versus Danny Dimes and injuries to the Giants O-line, or New England defense versus primetime Kirk. Yeah, I'm definitely going New England here. If I'm not mistaken, the New England Patriots are actually the #1 defense in fantasy football right now. They're #2, but they've already had their bye week. Last week, they put up 17 points versus the Jets. The week before their bye week, they faced the Colts. They had 26 points. They have another 23-point game versus the Detroit Lions, a 14-point game versus the Browns. Matt Judon is playing out of his mind, so I'm going to go with the Patriots there. But again, keep in mind that defense is so hard to predict. What's up, Abide? CB says need 2 wide receivers in a flex. Higgins, Lambs, Amon-Ra, Lockett. Okay, 2 wide receivers in a flex. So you're playing... Ooh. God, help us. Incredible options. This feels like a trap because there's so many good options. If I remind myself, Higgins plays the Titans, and they actually are pretty bad against wide receivers. CeeDee Lamb plays the Giants. I mean, you don't sit any of these players. Damn, man. I mean, you don't sit any of those guys. Because you have to play Nick Chubb. It's not like you can sit Nick Chubb. Although he plays Tampa Bay. Okay, Palmer and Pierce and Lockett are out of the conversation for me. I'm really deciding between Higgins, Lamb, Amon-Ra, and Chubb. And all of those guys should be... I mean, every person that you named, outside of maybe Palmer, should be in a starting lineup. So this is a trap question. Assuming Chase doesn't play, or if he plays and he's on a snap count, I'll go Higgins, Lamb. Let me double check CeeDee Lamb for a second. Because do they play on Thursday night, if I'm not mistaken? Yeah, they do. Or Thursday day, Thanksgiving Day. Can you sit CeeDee Lamb? You can't. All right. I'm going Higgins, Lamb, and Chubb. I'm going Higgins, Lamb, and Chubb. But again, Amon-Ra should be started in every single league. Charlie says, half PPR, rest of season, pick one, Juju, Pickens, or Christian Watson. Yeah, this is tough. Juju was on a really good streak before his injury. And he's apparently going to be back this week. I would say Juju is the safest floor, but I would say the highest upside is probably going to be Christian Watson. So I think it depends on what you're looking for there. Knox or Muth at tight end. Definitely going... I like Knox's matchup this week, but I'm definitely going Pat Freiermuth. Pat Freiermuth has been so heavily targeted under Kenny Pickett. In fact, last week he had 12 targets. Kenny Pickett loves his tight end, and Pat Freiermuth should be considered a must-start every single week. Abide says, what 2 receivers should I start? Jefferson, Chase, Hopkins, or Amon-Ra? How you guys got these questions, man? I mean, come on. How am I supposed to answer this? How am I supposed to answer this? Okay, firstly, you never sit Justin Jefferson. Doesn't matter what his matchup is. Jamar Chase, we don't know if he's going to play or not, so I'm assuming that he's not going to, but he could. What's Hopkins' matchup? Hopkins faces the Chargers, who have been atrocious. All right, I'm going to go Jefferson and Hopkins there if I can only start 2. My God. How are you guys doing these questions? 8-man. Okay, 8-man, 1 PPR, 3 flex spots. What's the question here? I guess it's just a team. It looks good. Looks good, Ron. I mean, to be honest, Ron, if you want my 100% transparent thoughts, every 8-man team looks pretty damn good. But I would say this is also a very, very good team. The difference typically in an 8-man is going to be your tight end. I don't see your tight end here. I guess there is no tight end spot, is what you're saying. But look, it's a very, very good team, Ron. It is a very good team, no doubt. Appreciate you. Gavin says, I traded Saquon in a 24th third for Etienne and Jamal Williams in a PPR Dynasty League. I'm competing. Felt like a good move. Yeah, I love that move if you got the Etienne side. I'm very for Saquon. But in Dynasty, Saquon's going to be 26 next year. Will probably be on a long-term contract. But we have a budding star in Etienne. And hasn't suffered a serious knee injury. I'll take Etienne and Jamal Williams all day in that trade. I actually have Etienne over Saquon. I've had him over Saquon the entire year in Dynasty. Bully says CMC didn't get over 27 points. So I won 9-2, top of everyone in the league. The guy in second is 2 games behind. Nice. Really well done. When Hollywood is back, where would you rank him? When Hollywood's back, I would rank him as a top 20 wide receiver rest of season. And if he plays this week, from what we've heard, he could be on a snap count. So just be aware of that if you're making those decisions this week. Just traded Tua and Connor for Andrews. Likely and Lockett. My quarterback one is Burrow. Okay, so in a 1 quarterback league, you were able to move Tua and Connor for Andrews. I mean, that's That's a big W. Easily a big W. I mean, Mark Andrews should cost a lot more than that in a one quarterback league. Abraham says start one running back, one wide receiver, one flex. Najee, Monty, Sanders, Terry, Pittman, Boyd, and Sutton. You guys are really giving me some difficult questions today. What's Montgomery's matchup? He's the Jets. We got Najee, who's playing the Colts, but no Jalen Warren. And then we have Miles Sanders playing the Packers. I'll go Najee there. You got to start Terry this week versus the Atlanta Falcons. I believe that is still the best matchup for wide receivers. And I can double check on that for you. But Terry McLaurin definitely is a huge start this week. Second best matchup for wide receivers. And then I think I would flex. I think I would be flexing Monty here. So Najee, Terry, and I'll flex Monty. But Pittman could have a really good bounce back week as well. Gavin says, need a second flex. I'll have Hollywood in a couple weeks, so I got to fill this spot. Swift, Jamal, Deontay, Palmer, Foreman, Harris. I mean, I got to keep riding Jamal Williams. Until we see any change in the usage, in the goal line usage, and Swift not getting proper touches, we have to assume that Jamal Williams is going to be the starter there. It's a tough matchup, no doubt, but if Jamal Williams is going to get the ball at least 16 to 20 times, then he's going to be my starter of those options. Yazir says, got offered Jonathan Taylor for Lenny and T. Higgins. Jonathan Taylor for Lenny and T. Higgins. Okay. What's your wide receivers? So you got Amon-Ra, Higgins, Allen, Hollywood, Pickens, Mooney. I'm a big fan of moving away from Leonard Fournette because he's already lost his job. And that happened before the injury, guys. So there's a big misconception right now that Rachaad White got more playing time the last time they played because of Lenny's injury. That's just not the case. That's just not true. They named Rachaad White the starter before the game, and then Fournette got injured. So I'm a big fan of moving on from Lenny. I think White fits what this team needs a little bit better. I'm fine with it. Can you maybe counter and get a lower level receiver in return? I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Can you get a Treylon Burks who hasn't really, he's had some good games but hasn't fully broken out yet? Could you get a Donovan Peoples-Jones, a Jahan Dotson? Somewhere in that category I would be more comfortable. But if not, I'm fine to do that if you're comfortable with your wide receiver depth. Garrett Wilson, Paris Campbell, or P. Ryan, or Donovan Peoples-Jones. So I can only pick one option. Who do the Jets play again? They play Chicago. I'll go Garrett Wilson here. What's up, Gator? Jacob says, how interested would you be in stashing Deshaun Watson for the playoffs? I'd definitely be interested. Look, if you're in a one quarterback league and you have a Lamar Jackson or a Josh Allen, Pat Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, there's no real point to do that because it's not like you can even trade him. I guess you could block him from another team that has a quarterback. But in one quarterback league, if you don't have a solidified guy, you drafted a Russell Wilson, you drafted a Matt Stafford, then yeah, I'm all for stashing Deshaun Watson and seeing what happens. Lamar, Danny Dimes, you got to go Lamar. 10 team, but I worked the waiver wire hard. Well done. Adil says, hey, hope you and your family are doing well. So I'm planning on trading Debo to get Mike Evans for the playoff schedule. What do you think? Yeah, I do like it because if I'm not mistaken, the Bucs playoff schedule is pretty favorable for wide receivers. Let me double check that before I give you my final answer. But I still feel like Debo's going to be up and down. I think you're going to get a little bit more consistency from a Mike Evans. Maybe the ceiling won't be as high, but I think you'll get a little bit more consistency. Yeah, it's a pretty good schedule rest of season. In fact, the only matchup I really don't love is San Francisco in Week 14. Outside of that, it's pretty great matchups. So yeah, I'll take Mike Evans. Pretty good even deal there. Daniel says, I have Chase. I'm gonna read this while I drink. Okay, which would you drop? Oh, Daniel, you can't drop any of these guys, man. You need to cut 2 of these guys? I mean, come on. You guys are asking the most difficult questions today. I love Pickens' rest of season. I think he has an incredible schedule. Christian Watson is who I prefer over Allen Lazard. So I guess I'm saying Brandon Ayuk and Allen Lazard, but there's no way in hell in any sort of 10 or 12-man league those players should be cut. If you're in a 10 or 12-man league with this question, then you've got to look at trading and upgrading somewhere. Do 2-for-1s, do multiple 2-for-1s. I mean, these are all players that should be rostered. You're good, Daniel. High upside, low risk says, to piggyback off my defensive question from earlier. Sure, I'm still going New England, but trust your gut. Akshay says, I have Patterson, Walker, and Foreman at running back. Should I try to upgrade those guys? Patterson, Walker, and Foreman. Yeah, I feel pretty good about Patterson rest of the season. Foreman is going to be based off of matchup. But with Kyle Pitts going down, you're going to see Patterson have an even bigger role in that offense. It's already rushing the ball, I believe, the third most time in the NFL. Yeah, so, I mean, it depends on your options. But if you have Pickens as well, you have some pretty good depth there. You could definitely look to move, but I'm not in a hurry to do it. But again, it all depends on what options you have, like what trade offers come in. The hypothetical questions are a little bit more difficult to answer. Kittle, who should I be starting though? Ron, I don't know your question wasn't. I don't think you had. Are you saying from this question, I need to pick 3 flex spots of all the players? Can you clarify? I don't understand the question. I don't understand. Damien says, who am I starting? I got Higgins, St. Brown, and Kirk. Okay, Kirk. Higgins, St. Brown, and Kirk. Kirk goes against the Ravens. Well, look, this is a difficult question, but Kirk's going to be my sit. Man, I feel like all these questions are, no disrespect, but how are you guys having these decisions? There's not many clear answers today. These are all trap questions. I hope it's helpful though. Flex, Amon-Ra or Eaton? I'll go ETN, but it's close. Would you rank Najee? Where would you rank Najee Harris rest of the season? Look, he has a pretty good schedule upcoming, and with Jaylen Warren being injured, that definitely helps his case as well because he's going to get a lot more opportunity. Right now, he's questionable to play with his hamstring, Jaylen Warren, that is. But Najee Harris, I mean, I would rank him as a top 24 running back, somewhere around there. Pretty good schedule upcoming. Indianapolis this week, then he has Atlanta. In the playoffs, it's Carolina, Vegas, and Baltimore. The only only week you don't love there is Baltimore. So I would say top 24. I think he's going to have a much better second half than he had first half. I'm pretty desperate for my second flex spot. James Cook, Treylon Burks, and Cam Akers. I mean, I feel very confident in answering this one, Gerard. Give me Treylon Burks here. Had a little bit of a breakout last week on Thursday Night Football. 7 catches on 8 targets, 111 yards, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, I'll go Treylon Burks. I think he continues to grow his role. And, by the way, Treylon Burks put up that stat line, and he only played 50% of the snaps. Yeah, that's not a mistake. 50% of the snaps. He's going to continue to get a higher and higher target share in that offense as his snap share grows as well. What's up, Cap? Flex spots. PPR, Slayton, Christian Watson, I'm assuming, Demarcus Robinson, or do I gamble and start one of the Bucs running backs? This is easy for me. I would be going Rachaad White. Rachaad White is one of my starts of the week. They play the Cleveland Browns, and the Cleveland Browns have been absolutely destroyed by running backs in fantasy all year long. Do you remember how people were worried about Austin Eckler? He was being extremely inefficient with his rushing attempts. Well, he put up 173 yards versus the Cleveland Browns. Right now, that's the second best matchup for running backs. So I'm going to go Rachaad White there. Brady or Lamar? I'm always going to go Lamar with the rushing upside regardless of matchup. Gator says, I feel like with defense, my receivers are a coin, just like with defense. Receivers are a coin flip. Starting Henry and Chubb at running back, Connor and Pierce at the flex. 2 wide receivers between A-Rob, Palmer, Garrett Wilson, Tony, Rondon, and Cooks. I don't think Rondon's going to play. I don't think Tony will play. So I think you're really going to be between A-Rob, Palmer, and Garrett Wilson. And right now we don't even know if A-Rob's going to play. So I would say Garrett Wilson and Josh Palmer would be my answers for this week. Let me double check Palmer's matchup versus Arizona. Yeah, that would be my answer to that. Yes, that's your question. So your question, okay. 3 flex spots. And I'm supposed to only pick 3 players? Is every flex spot a super flex? I need a little bit more clarity here. I mean, if I can choose 3 players, it would be Jalen Hurts. I don't know how to answer this question. I'm sorry, man, Rod. I genuinely don't know how to answer the question. Your question is 3 flex spots. Is it super flex? Are you saying you can only start 3 of all of these players? How would that work? You have to start Justin Jefferson. I guess if that is truly the question, Jalen Hurts, Justin Jefferson, and I don't know how to answer this. Jalen Hurts, Justin Jefferson, and probably CeeDee Lamb. I mean, I'm not really sure exactly how to answer it. I hope that's helpful. How serious is Justin Fields' injury? Yeah, look, Justin Fields' injury is going to be really interesting to follow. From what the update that we've heard is that he's day to day. We don't know if the Bears being 3-8 are going to shut him down. Apparently, he has a torn ligament in his shoulder, but that doesn't impact his throwing shoulder. So it's his non-throwing arm. So he's a limited participant in practice. We have no idea, to be honest, just yet. Definitely have to stay tuned to the practice reports on that one. Start 2, flex 1, Stephon Diggs, Jefferson. Oh my gosh, you guys. I mean, I want to be helpful, but some of these questions, I'm like, dude. You guys are like, all right, you can start 1 player, okay? Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Derrick Henry, Austin Eckler, Justin Jefferson, Travis Kelce. Start 1. I'm like, what? Jake says, worried about Lamar going forward. Also, what do you think about Hollywood Brown the rest of the season? No, I'm not really worried about Lamar Jackson. I think he's going to be able to figure it out. The matchups upcoming are actually pretty decent as well. In the playoffs, he gets the Browns, who give up, I believe, the 2nd most points on the ground. Then he has Atlanta, who's an incredible matchup. They give up the most points through the air. Then he has Pittsburgh, which they've been better with TJ Watt, but I'm not too worried about Lamar Jackson. I still think he's going to be great. Anytime you have a quarterback who's rushing about 10 to 11 times per game, his upside's going to be there. So definitely he's going to recover his form for sure. Should I pick up Demarcus Robinson and Ravens, Colts, or Denver defense? I mean, you can pick up Demarcus Robinson, but the bigger question is who would you have to drop? I'm not really picking him up to drop anyone important, but you know, if you have a free spot, sure. And Ravens, Colts, or Denver? That's a good question. Colts play the Steelers. The Ravens play Jags. And you said the Broncos. And the Broncos play Carolina. I'll go Broncos there. I believe it's Sam Darnold starting. That offense is an absolute mess. I think he's saying his team needs 3 flex from the positional players. I get it. I just don't know how to answer that question. Literally every single player should be started, and I have to pick from 10 to 15 players here. Okay, if it excludes the quarterbacks, Hopkins, Lamb, Jefferson, I guess. Yeah, that's tough. Roll with Pittman or Pollard in a half PPR league. I'd probably go with Pollard, as crazy as that sounds. I want to keep riding this gravy train, this hot train, that hot streak that he's on, if you will. But anyway, guys, let me know if there's any more questions. I know we might have some more questions. Hard to say, but Thanksgiving's coming soon. People are probably hanging out with family, but I'm happy to stay on as long as need be. So yeah, I mean, no more questions right now. That's crazy. Typically, we get nonstop questions till about an hour and a half into the stream, but I know that obviously it's Thanksgiving. You can feel free to ask anything. I'll stay live here for a couple more minutes, unless of course it picks back up. Stream Trevor for the Bears. The Fields is out, or Colt McCoy. I believe that Colt McCoy is Kyler Murray is already going to play. I think we got that confirmation. He was a full participant on Wednesday. So if he's already been a full participant in practice on Wednesday, I would say there's a very, very high chance that he starts this week. So I would say Colt McCoy is probably not an option, so you'd have to pick up Trevor if you have to choose between those two. Someone already picked up Mike White. Yeah, Mike White would have probably been my first choice of those options. But yeah, you probably have to go Trevor. I just want to say thank you for streaming and always answering our questions. Of course. No, happy to answer your questions. Some of them, you guys had some very, very difficult questions today. Start Cordero Patterson or Pacheco. Pacheco, until I see Pacheco really get involved in the air, I can't really consider him over some of these other options. So I'm going to have to go Cordero Patterson. Rams defense is actually pretty good against the run as well. So yeah, for me, that's a pretty easy Cordero Patterson. Even though both of their matchups are pretty rough, but Patterson's going to be a little bit more involved in the air now with Kyle Pitts out, I believe. So I'm going to go with Patterson there, but that's a tough question as well. KO Oxide says bench one of Tyler Boyd, Pickens, and Michael Carter in full PPR. Okay, bench one, Tyler Boyd, Pickens, and Michael Carter. Bench one. Who is Carter playing? That's an important question. I mean, the offense could look completely different now. He plays Chicago. Ooh, this is a tough one because the offense could look completely different and Michael Carter could get involved in the air. He plays Chicago. Tyler Boyd plays the Raiders. All right, if I have to bench one, I'm probably going to bench Michael Carter, but that's a tough question, man. Pickens plays the Colts. I'm assuming that Deontay Johnson is going to be covered by Stephon Gilmore. So, yeah, I would sit Carter there. That's a tough one, though. Would you drop Dylan at this point? No, I wouldn't drop Dylan just because, again, if there is ever a scenario in which Aaron Jones goes down, he's going to be a really good handcuff. So, how do you feel about Connor and Pierce rest of the season? Feel good about them both in the sense that they are a rare, commodity in the NFL right now where they're going to get at least 15 to 20 touches every single game. You're kind of seeing maybe the rookie wall a little bit with Dameon Pierce. Pretty tough matchup last week versus Washington. But he has some pretty good matchups coming up, so Dameon should still have some pretty good games rest of season. But yeah, I mean, purely based off of volume, those guys in most formats should be started most weeks. Just made a trade. I traded Kamara, Olave, Pittman for TJ Hawkinson, Etienne, and Swift. Kamara, Olave, Pittman. Okay. It's interesting. I think the big wild card here, Bob, is Swift. We don't understand what's happening with DeAndre Swift. We can't point our finger as to why it's happening or, why his usage is the way it is. In the past 3 weeks, he hasn't played over 31% of the snaps. He hasn't had 10 touches in a single game in the past 3 weeks. He plays Buffalo this week, so I don't think his stock's going to go up because it's a tough matchup. I think Kamara, Etienne, I put them very similarly as far as where I would rank them. Olave is a top 12 guy rest of the year. Yeah, this is a tough one, man. I think I would have wanted to get a little bit more in return on this deal, especially with the unknowns of Swift. But if Swift can come back and take that role and take that job, then it will be a much safer trade. I think I just prefer the Kamara side right now. Also, Alvin Kamara, while he has a tough couple matchups upcoming, he has an incredible playoff schedule. Atlanta, Browns, and then the Eagles, which the Eagles isn't a very good playoff matchup, but those first two will get you to the championship potentially. So I got to be honest there and say I would take the Kamara side. Do I make it push for Paris Campbell or Kenyon Drake? Those are not players I'm really willing to give up a lot for. So I guess it just depends on what you would have to... Really depends on what you would have to give up to get them. So for me, I'm not going out of my way to get them. But if they are like a part of a deal or if you can kind of throw them in, I'm happy to do that. I've kind of said this before, but with the backfield in Baltimore, I have no idea how that's going to pan out once all those guys are healthy, and they could be healthy soon. Gus Edwards was he active last week? No, but he was almost going to be active, so I think he'll be back. And I personally wouldn't be surprised if Gus took the role. I know some people feel differently, and that's fine. But for me, it wouldn't be surprised if Gus was a lead back, if it was Drake, or if Dobbins came back eventually and took it. So I'm not really looking to pursue any Ravens running backs. Peter, what's up? He says, Juju, Lazard, Curtis Samuel, Campbell, pick 2. Paris Campbell is so weird. Paris Campbell is so strange, man. I don't know why. I don't believe in this consistency moving forward. But he's been pretty good, and he's been pretty heavily targeted as well. Okay, firstly, Juju, if he plays, you have to start Juju. Because before he went down, he was really the wide receiver 1 there. You had a really nice stretch before the injury. 3 weeks in a row, over 18 fantasy points, averaging around 8 targets per game. So definitely Juju you said pick 2. Okay, so Juju, and then it's going to come down to Lazard and Samuel's matchup there. So Campbell goes up against the Steelers. Curtis goes up against Atlanta, which is a very, very good matchup. And then you said Lazard goes up against Philly. I'm a little bit more hesitant on Lazard, so I think I'm going to lean Curtis Samuel there. Curtis Samuel and Juju. Juju based off of the quarterback play and his involvement, and Samuel based off of his matchup. No worries, Bob. Glad to hopefully have helped. Deathlord says Jamar Chase, Michael Pittman, Chris Olave, Christian Kirk, Cordero Patterson, and Tony Pollard. Pick 4, full PPR. Jamar Chase, look, if he plays, you got to play Jamar Chase. Okay, pick 4. Ooh, okay, pick 4. What's Olave's matchup here? San Francisco, that's a pretty tough matchup, but still, I mean, he freaking toasted Jalen Ramsey last week. Okay, let's go these 4. Tony Pollard, Jamar Chase if he plays, Chris Olave, and Christian Kirk. I'll go those 4. And if Jamar Chase doesn't play, or if we get reports coming out that he's going to be on a very limited snap count, replace Jamar with Michael Pittman. That would be my answer there. Of course, we will have a lot of news that we will have to stay tuned to in the next couple of days. But, I will be obviously staying tuned to it as well. And we will go live. I'll go live on your Saturday night still this week. So I know you guys have Thanksgiving. We don't really do Thanksgiving here all that much. We don't really celebrate it in Australia, even though I am American. So I did celebrate Thanksgiving growing up, but in Australia, it's not really a priority of sorts, if you will. But let me know if there's any last minute questions here, guys. Normally stay live a lot longer than this, but if there's no questions, then I'll leave you guys to it. Enjoy your time with your family, and whatever you're doing, just make sure you're with people on Thanksgiving. Don't be by yourself. I mean, that's the worst. Make sure you're with some sort of family or friend group. So no to Patterson. Based off the options, I would say no. Yeah, But I do still like Cordell Patterson rest of the season. You know, in an offense that throws the ball the second fewest times per game, and they rush the ball top 4 as far as rushing attempts per game. So Patterson should continue to be a focal point of the offense, and they also just lost Kyle Pitts for the year, so we're probably going to see Patterson involved even more in the air to kind of help fill that hole in their offense. So I still like Patterson rest of season, and while it's a bad matchup this week in the playoffs, he's got the Saints, but after that Baltimore and Arizona, so a couple good matchups upcoming. Josh Palmer, Demarcus Robinson, or thank you so much for the sub. Josh Palmer, Demarcus Robinson, or Allen Robinson rest of season. Ooh, that's tough, man. If I knew Mike Williams was going to be out the rest of the fantasy season, this would easily be Josh Palmer. But I don't know that. As soon as Mike Williams and Keenan Allen are both healthy, then Palmer is nowhere near as valuable. I got to go Allen Robinson here, man. Chiefs this week. Then he's got the Seahawks, the Raiders. I got to go Allen Robinson. But if we knew that Mike Williams or Keenan Allen would be out every single game, it would be easily Josh Palmer. But unfortunately, we don't have that, we don't have that information right now. But yeah, it's pretty close between Palmer and Robinson. I'll slightly lean Allen just because of the opportunities that will be ahead of him. But yeah, that's a pretty close one. Anyway, guys, appreciate you. Thanks so much for hanging out. Death Lord says Aaron Jones, Josh Jacobs, Antonio Gibson, Jeff Wilson, Tyler Lockett. Pick 3. Okay, pick 3. You got to start Josh Jacobs. You got to start Aaron Jones. And you have to start Tony Pollard. Man, that's tough, Death Lord, because Jeff Wilson has such a good matchup this week. Man, that is a really tough one. Who's Aaron Jones playing? Aaron Jones plays Philly, but you have to anticipate him being heavily involved in the air as well. Josh Jacobs, he's a start no matter the matchup, I think. Yeah, he plays Seattle. Yeah, I got to go with Tony there as the last option based off of his form as of late. Tony Pollard's usage has been really exciting in the last couple games. Even with Zeke healthy last week, he played 54% of the snaps, but he had 21 touches. So I'm going to ride the hot hand of Pollard and say Aaron Jones and Josh Jacobs. Palmer over A-Rob this week, though. Yes, I would go Palmer over A-Rob this week, especially because I anticipate Mike Williams not playing. Tony Pollard over Tyler Lockett, yeah. In the last 3 games, let me do some quick math for you. In the last 3 games, Tony Pollard is averaging 30.8 fantasy points. He's had, in the last 4 games, I'll tell you his total touch count. 14, 15, 28, and 21. Heavily involved on the ground and in the air. I know the matchup isn't the best, but we've seen this Giants team beatable on the ground. And of course, like in most leagues, Tyler Lockett should be started, but he really has to score a touchdown to be a better play than Tony Pollard, which is possible. But if it was my team, I would go Pollard. Of course, we don't have a crystal ball or anything, but that's just what I would do. Pick 1 standard league: Devonta Smith, Christian Watson, or Donovan Peoples-Jones. Pick 1 standard league, so no PPR here. Okay, no PPR at all. Okay, I think I'm probably going to be going Devonta Smith here. They play Green Bay, so they play each other. I'm going to go Devonta Smith there. I'm assuming Jair Alexander is going to be on A.J. Brown, and I'm assuming that Devonta Smith is going to be necessary to that offense. So I'll go Devonta Smith, but that's a very tough one, man. Rachaad White or Jacoby? Jacoby's been pretty good, but I'm going to go Rachaad White. And the reason being is the matchup is incredible for Rachaad White. The Browns give up the second most points to the fantasy running back position. And even before Lenny's injury, they named Rachaad White the starter. I anticipate him being more involved in the air as well. He is the better pass catcher of the two. So I'm definitely going to go Rachaad White in a game where the Bucs could finally, for the first time this year, dominate someone on the ground. Seahawks versus Raiders feels like a shootout game, so there's a good chance Lockett. Yeah, I mean, go with your gut there for sure. Definitely go with your gut. I will go Pollard, but if you are really heavily leaning Lockett, then yeah, definitely go with your gut. All right, guys. If there aren't any questions, I'm going to end the stream. But appreciate y'all. Happy Thanksgiving. Make sure you hang out with your family. Eat a bunch of pumpkin pie. Set your lineups. Don't forget about the 3 games that are happening. And we will see you on Saturday night, where I will be doing another stream, another start-sit stream as well. Standard League, Alvin or Antonio. In a Standard League, I'm probably still going Alvin Kamara there, but it is close. Devontae Adams or Tyreek Hill rest of the season? Tyreek Hill. I don't even have to look at the schedule. Tyreek Hill is no question the answer for me, without a doubt. All right, guys. Huge love. Enjoy Thanksgiving, and we'll see you very soon.